Hello, people listening and watching. You're tuning into the Let's Walk podcast. Today is a wonderful day because I think this is the third podcast I'm recording in this month. I would always like to speak to people who are, doing those things, people who are really there down in the trenches and, actually working on things and bringing it for us normal people. So today joining me is Dr. Varun Malhotra. He is from AIIMS Bhopal. He has also done, besides his allopathic medicine and everything, he has a diploma in naturopathy and yoga as well, which is very interesting because nowadays I don't know, but from what I have seen, it is very rare to find somebody who is balancing both the sides of things, because usually doctors who are more inclined towards this side, they're kind of I'm not sure how they are perceived as, but that is something maybe we'll speak in the podcast as well. So Dr. Varun, thank you so much for taking the time and accepting this invite.
Thank you, Ataraman. It's my honor. And yes, it's a wonderful balance between allopathy and Ayurveda, the holistic treatment that helps, heal the patients. And our knowledge of that is definitely helpful of both the ends. But it's nice to be here. Thank you.
The pleasure's all mine. Doctor, can you just maybe start off with the initial, like thought you had maybe before you started medicine, like what got you into medicine? Like, was it like you had a family doctor who inspired you to get into medicine, or was it some uncle or relative which inspired you to, come into medicine, seeing how they heal people and everything? So, what was your initial thought as in?
Oh my God, this thought goes back, I think, around about 30, 40 years before, in which I think one day I was home and I was trying to describe to my parents how would probably an eye disease would probably work out. And my dad there and then said, I think you should become a doctor because my inclination was probably towards biology and all. And after the finishing of my 10 boards, my father said that I wanted to become a doctor. So, I mean, I loved biology. I probably could relate. The teachers are the wonderful souls who actually bring up in the garden of the school the innate qualities of the child. And my biology teacher, I almost fell in love with her because she was so wonderful. And I guess that was the inspiration somewhere down the line. She inspired me, and I remember her son was also there in our batchmate who we met up as a reunion many years afterwards in Delhi. So I think the teacher has a lot of role, and the parents also have a lot of role in actually nurturing the initial innate qualities of a child. And I think my parents, I must attribute to them and my teachers who inculcated that interest in me. At that point, I won't say service or healing was part of my, because at 17, 18, one is not that mature, in fact, younger than that to take that big decision. And in fact, I should add in allopathy, at 17, 18, one is actually faced with the three disease, death, and old age, the three curses of earth, which even Lord Buddha had actually seen that old man, the dead man, and the diseased person. Those are the three curses of earth. And I think we all doctors and every human being is actually trying to fight that, if not accept it at some level or the other. So I guess it was because my parents and my teachers that I chose medicine. And I must thank them because it was the right decision.
Uh, that's so on point. I feel like it's kind of similar in my case because I also had a like science teacher who was like really like I feel like the curiosity, like trying to understand how cockroaches work, like what is photosynthesis, and like you really get fascinated, and then you're trying all sorts of experiments. Maybe we'll get into that at a later time, but I guess for now I would maybe want to go into like your initial exposure into Ayurveda, because now you're already, let's say you're going in through med school, and you're going through, like the first year, the second year, then, probably internship, and also then how was your exposure into Ayurveda? Was it like you were already having the desi nuske done at home, so you felt like, maybe I need to incorporate this? People don't need to go for a tablet the moment they feel a slight headache or something, or a slight toothache. They they can take some clove or something like that. So like, what was your initial exposure that maybe I should pursue this, or advise this also to my patients besides allopathic medicine?
So the year was 1999. That's again 26 years ago. And again, as I say, parents and teachers have a big role to play. So my guide, when I was doing my MD, after I finished my MBBS. I picked up physiology. So she kind of, her name is Dr. Savita Singh. And she kind of said, Ki, Varun, why don't we do a thesis on yoga and diabetes? Ki diabetes, we give oral hypoglycemic agents and all to bring down the level of blood glucose. Is it possible? The question, research question is through yoga as an adjunct, can we kind of reduce the blood sugar levels so that the side effects or the lifelong therapy of the oral hypoglycemic agents or even insulin shots need not be to be taken by the diabetic patients? So that was my research topic, and we measured actually various other parameters related to diabetes, such as blood glucose, that is HbA1c, glycosylated hemoglobin, and also lipid profile, and so on and so forth, nerve condition, velocity, pulmonary function tests in diabetic patients before and after the 40 days of yoga asanas. And so I used to go attend the endocrine clinic, pick up patients from there. They were on actually medicines, and the endocrine clinic was being run by a DM endocrinologist. So we did yoga asana, and we found that yes, there was definite improvement in their blood sugar levels. In fact, my first patient, after she did yoga asanas, she started having, dizziness. And I was surprised as yoga asanas have some side effects. But then my guide wisely asked me to get the blood sugar done again, and we kind of did that, and we found that she has gone into hypoglycemia. So we had to stop her medications. And through yoga itself, she was free from the medication. Unfortunately, she went back home and she stopped doing yoga since she was from a Muslim family. The cause and effect relationship is there because the environment is stronger than willpower. So other people were not doing yoga asanas at her home. So then she again had to come back with the sugars were high. And she admitted, so this was a cause and effect relationship of what one does and how it affects the sugar levels. But under observation, she was fine as she was long as she was coming to the clinic and doing the yoga asanas, her sugars were normal. The moment she went back home, the discipline and that supervision was lost. So she fell back into her sugar levels again were high. So that was an actually initial, it went on for about a year and all of collecting the data and then writing the thesis. There was a change. I mean, I then started attending yoga and group asanas. I was introduced to that. And then somebody kind of just told me, how does, what is the purpose of life? And somebody gave me, I found out this book called Autobiography of Yogi of Paramhans Yogananda. So I read that. I was initiated to Kriya Yoga. That was a life changer. These were the life changing events. First my guide and then my guru, Yogananda. So once I got into yoga and then a lot of research of yogasanas, pranayamas with Kapal Bhati and so on and so forth. And then we set up an integral health clinic at AIIMS Bhopal. I mean, the Gita has this verse which says Yukt Ahar Vihar. Ahar means food. Vihar is recreation, like we go to a park and all. So relaxation. So right, Yukt means right amount of eating, right amount of relaxation. Yukt Ahar Vihar. So we have a dietitian for the Ahar part. Vihar, we have how a person should, go to yoga asanas or relax. Then Yukta Karmasu Chestashu. Karma is your work and right amount of work, right amount of, having a purpose to life. And Yuk Swapnava Bodhasya. We have a sleep clinic also. The person should sleep at the right amount of time. Some and also wake. Bodha says Bodha means awake. So then he says Yukta Ahara Viharasya, Yukta Chestasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Bodhasya, Yoga Dukha. So a person who's balanced in these six pillars of life, diet, recreation, exercise, work, sleeping, waking, then that person is free from all suffering. Yoga kind of helps to kind of then work in a manner to deliver the person from suffering. So we have a clinic in which we have patients coming to us, uh, and then we kind of advise them, counsel them, facilitate them to change their lifestyles. And so these were stepwise. First, my guide, who got me into yoga asanas, then the book Autobiography of Yogi. My mother had given me this book called Arya Samaji, which is for Havan, and also that also was initially on the path of transforming me. And but now we are into the integral health clinic and serving patients. So we that clinic is at Ayush. So we work with the Ayurveda, we work with the Siddhas, we work with the homeopathic doctors, and also the yoga instructors are there. So and we get patients referred from endocrinology, from medicine. So it's a holistic approach that we are following. And this is not only at AIIMS Bhopal, the Prime Minister, Shri Modi ji, has made this open, the integral health clinic at every AIIMS. So it's under PMSSY. So Integral Health Clinic is at every AIIMS, and now the other institutes are also copying the similar things. We've gone and given talks at other places, and they're also following the same pattern. But it's all ancient and it's all re being done again, and we are going back to nature again. So that was how my journey was. Um, I hope to inspire some others also along the line.
That's good to hear that, like it's being integrated at a systemic level, and it's not like, few people trying to drive change, because it becomes a little tough when, like, you're trying to find like, trying to push the organizational barriers, and especially, with AIIMS and, other hospitals as well, being like huge organizations. I feel like it will take a lot more to convince them. But if it's being done at a organizational level, then I think, everybody has to then kind of adjust it, even if they agree or not. But like, I guess in that process they at least understand what Ayurveda is, and take benefits from that. So maybe we can jump into like, has the definition of health changed for you when it comes to like coming in contact or when learning about Ayurveda? Has it changed for you? Because the way we define health is sometimes is absence of disease. Some people say the ability to live a healthy social life, and like meet with people, and be physically okay. So how has the definition changed, or is it still the same? Can you tell a little bit about that?
All right, so the WHO initially had said health for all, and over the years, absence of disease, yes, mental well-being also, but the soul, see, there has to be a person has to be fine in mind, body, and soul. The spiritual angle has been added. The spiritual part was missing before, and unless if the astral body is fine, then the physical body will automatically be fine. But to understand what the astral body is, what prana is, what the light is, and how these medicines, whatever we give it, the allopathic or Ayurvedic, basically coaxes this life energy to heal to the diseased body part. How does one can do that? Through either chiropractic adjustment of the vertebrae, or through massage therapy, or through medicines, or through some even sleeping helps to coax the life force, even or through meditation. So the way the definition of health has changed is that they have over the years gone into more subtler elements. Like for example, the energy forces have we never had mobiles 10 or 20 years before. So things are actually moving to the finer yugas, like the Kali Yuga is ending and the Dwapar is starting, where the energies are going to the finer ages of, the mobile phones or things moving at the speed of wave therapy, diathermy therapy, or even X-rays, or even you have now, even if you have brain entrainment, which is happening, in which if you're not able to focus, attention deficit syndrome is there for a person, then the person listens to simple alpha waves in the background like music, and the person child is able to focus. Or in the process, if a person is not able to sleep at night, say after dinner or so, he puts on delta rhythms on YouTube, and then that sleep will manifest into induction, and then it'll be a deep sleep. So things are changing, these finer frequencies, it's going towards spirit. It's these waves, these x-rays, the infrared therapies for backaches and all. This was not there earlier on. Technology, even MRIs and CT scans. So health is now even the technology is going towards the finer forces, and we are using uh, technology. Even AI is coming up nowadays in a wonderful way. In fact, if you kind of actually Google the patient's symptoms, it will give you a lot of managements. You don't even Google, they say you have to have a teacher to kind of tell you what is right and wrong. And when on a click, Google gives you n number of the various options that are there. Now you have these various new AIs which kind of tells you what is out of these n number of things, what is right and what is wrong. So I know it is actually taking up your way level of thinking. That's a different thing. But things are moving at a faster level now, and things are more readily available, and people are more aware of. But a Google Doctor has its own problems and all too. But things have actually changed, and things have gone into the spinal forces, and spirit has been added as in terms of a component of the health. So mind, body, and soul, that WHO definition has been modified slightly over the year. For me personally, the health part begins with my day with meditating for about an hour or so in the morning, and it ends at night or in the evening when I again see how my day has gone by meditating, and that takes up the soul component. We have this reading of some books of focus and all that is for the mind. And we have exercise also. I go to the gym for about half an hour to 45 minutes where I need to sweat out for the body. And then I'm fit in mind, body, and soul, and I am focused for my day, whatever the activities I need to do, I'm prepared. And I see patients, I teach students, and I do my research work. So that is how the personal level, and it has changed because of these three, four influences that I mentioned: my parents, my guide, and now my guru.
So, you briefly mentioned about the different frequencies people are listening. Some people call it the
Yeah.
binaural frequency, and I'm sure people also want to know, like if we just listen to I think it's the 369 God frequency, will we become God, or like will we just go to the pyramids of Giza, or like what will happen? Like so many
Yeah.
things people are trying, but I feel at the same time, although it is readily available, it is very like scary also, because we don't know, like what it is going to open up. Like, is it going to open my third, fourth, or fifth eye? I don't know which eye it is, and if anything like good or bad will happen, or should I be listening to this? And it also at the same time makes me more aware that when we use social media or watching TV,
Yeah.
there are so many things which we are consuming, which we don't know. So like how do you think, like, should people listen to these frequencies, or should they be a professional who should be guiding them, or they should simply stick to meditation, or like what is it? What are your thoughts on it?
Great. So we have a brain entrainment lab at AIIMS, and we have, in collaboration with the Americans and the Russians at AIIMS Bhopal, where they have these headsets and all. So this is a good question, whether you should meditate or listen to these frequencies. You cannot meditate all the time, and it has to be meditation balanced with activity. And if you can utilize the gadgets which are available with the right form of guidance, as you mentioned, then definitely one has the right, you're on the right path. Now, the basic science is that if you close both your ears, there is, as Kabir used to listen to the internal voice, there is this nad or the om or the amen or the, amin, which goes around the world and in your internal microcosmos, which is the body, which are the five chakras or the five plexus in the spine or the five elements. Now, to listen to that nad is basically a very big comforter, and these frequencies that we are actually listening to are actually simulating the vibration of these plexuses in the spine. Now, if a person, as we have seen, we have done brain entrainment and all in some of our students who are having sleep insomnia difficulties, and they, when they listen to the Delta, and we have actually measured the REM sleep quality using AI gadgets and all, watches, smart watches, and we found that yes, the quality of sleep score improves, the REM and the duration of the deep sleep that improves. So the frequency measured through the we have an heart rate variability and a brain spectrum EEG that actually simulates. So we've seen after meditation also similar results are produced. So people who cannot meditate can utilize the same brain frequencies for brain entrainment. It's not entertainment, it's entrainment. You're training the brain in that frequency. And you rightly mentioned they're called binaural beats. Just for the general public, if you're probably listening to 16 hertz frequency in one ear, 8 hertz in the other ear, 16 minus 8 is binaural. Both ears are different. So it's 8 hertz, 16 minus 8, and it's equal to an alpha rhythm. So the alpha rhythm is focused when you alert, awake, aroused, as if you are got your eyes closed, or you kind of lit up a diya or a deepak and you're watching it, or you go onto the mountains. Why do the saints used to go to the mountains? Because the frequency becomes alpha frequency. So, if you go to a beach and you just be by the waves, then it's a theta frequency when you're emotionally more relaxed. We had these patients who, came with this metallic chip because of some kind of accident they had in a road traffic accident. So the cervical vertebrae was kind of, dislodged and they were paralyzed waist down. But after applying that metallic plate on their neck, the paralysis was restored and they were normal, but they were still having some issues regarding sleep and pain, which is so we gave them this theta burst of frequency, which is pain related. We could not give them repeated transmagnetic stimulation, RTMS, which is magnetic therapy in the spine. is given for backaches and the cervical pain. But the brain entrainment helped the person. He was able to kind of relieve the pain and relieve his insomnia. So brain entrainment does help. This is binaural beats where you have different hertz frequency. For example, somebody is not able to sleep, insomniacs. So we give 8 hertz in one, 4 hertz in the other. Difference is 8 minus 4 is 4 hertz. That's equal to the delta rhythm. That is the rhythm of the when we sleep. And that is helpful for insomniacs and all. But we can also use isochronic beats in which you just get 4 hertz at both the ears. Or for insomniac or attention deficit syndrome, we give 8 hertz. So these therapies are helpful, and it's been scientifically proved, and it's the coming thing of the future, because that's how the phones interfere with your mind also, because if we are using too much of phones and not, it'll affect the mind and the sleep as a result. That's why they say you should not drive and you should not speak on the phone at the same time, because the mind cannot handle two things at the same time. And if you do an fMRI, they find evidence based that yes, the areas which are seeing for spatial recognition while driving, the hippocampus and all, those are not rightly activated, and the areas required for listening and talking on the phone, the auditory cortex and the speech areas, those also are not equally activated if one are doing both the tasks simultaneously, driving as well as listening on the phone. So it's important to cut off the distractions either through meditation or through these beats that have happened during the day, or and therefore utilize the technologies either for through meditation or through these binaural beats, whichever is comfortable for you.
And you mentioned there are like different ragas as well. And when we talk about ragas, there is like Rag Darbari, Rag Yaman. There's like so many, and everyone has like their own story that this king was really sad. He like I mean, we can imagine now like the king at those times. They might have tasted the best food, listened to the best music, and still they are sad. Like they feel there is something less in their life, and then Tansen, I guess he comes with Rag Darbari, and that is why they say it's a darbar, and it's like the echo chamber, and it makes one think and contemplate and everything. And now some people say they feel very different when they listen to Kun Faya Kun from the Bollywood movie. Some people they say they feel a different they feel very relieved when they when they're like going through something hard, they listen to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's uh, like Kawali or something like that. So do you think like back in those days people back in the day, like people, they didn't maybe like figure out that the healing part is there, and they just probably went to like seek entertainment? Or was it like they already knew about the healing? Or is that something like they have written, or something you have found out? And also the other thing is that we have always seen that that research is happening on Western classical music. People are listening to Bach, Mozart, but why isn't there a lot of research, or am I missing something when it comes to the Indian ragas, the classical, the semi-classical music? Like are like if didn't we, like a lot of people are not researching, or is it that maybe I'm not finding it, or something like that?
So that's a wonderful thing that you mentioned. Mia Tansen, the 16th century court musician for Akbar the Great, he was commanded by the emperor to sing a night raga while the sun was overhead. And Tansen intoned a mantra and instantly caused the whole palace precincts to be enveloped in darkness. So that was the magic. And we do have ragas. In fact, ragas which are sung like Hindol ragas, sung during dawn. You can actually invoke love. And Deepak raga is there. Megha raga is to summon courage when it is sung during this time in rainy season and all. So Bhairav raga is also there. And yes, they do have a lot of healing powers and helps to improve the mood and all. In patients of Parkinsonism, they're able to improve their mobility, dance, Alzheimer's disease, old music, their memories of old time, and they're not able to form new memories. That has been of great help. Children with disabilities and all, that they have got a lot of help and all. The thing is, the basic concept of this is that this sound is a very powerful force, and the alliance of nature and man comes from the old, as I said, Amen, Amin, and Amen. This is basically it transcends all languages. It's the primal sound or the vibratory word, and it controls all natural manifestations. And through the chants and mantras, one basically invokes that same sound and all. And through the ancient time, Samved has been the world's earliest writing, and it has no kind of age as to since when this it originated. These are divine arts, and this knowledge was there with our ancestors. Like Shiva's and his cosmic Nataraj dance aspect were the first musicians, Vishnu in the mridanga or the holy drum, and Brahma with the cymbals and all, Saraswati with the veena. So they all, Krishna with the flute, they all had this. As regards the research, why is it not that there in India? The thing is that in India, we were trying to do a project. First, I'll talk of my research and how we tried to forward it and where the hindrances came. One of the things was that everybody can do this. You can just Google online reaction time. Online Reaction Time is a free app which is available. It's a free kind of website in which the red light turns green on the click automatically on a click. And so when you're ready, you just click and there it shows a red light, and it'll turn green at randomly at a time. You have to be ready, and the moment it turns green, you have to click again. So it measures your reaction time between it turning green, you having seen it, realize that and you have to click again. So the motor response is kind of seen. So we have a baseline recording in which we have seen that the reaction time is say 0.43 seconds initially. And then we ask the person to listen to some music, and while listening to the music, click again. So we feel the reaction time actually improves. It's much faster. And the person is more alert, awake, aroused. And this is quite important because during the day and all, they ask you, what did you do today? You have to file a daily survey, be it a student or an office worker or even a housewife, and an introspection at the end of the day. They say, I didn't do much, but I'm feeling so tired. But they've seen that if you kind of listen to music during the day, be it like you mentioned, these wonderful terms of Mozart and, Bach also, and there is actually decreased fatigue that has happens during the day. Now, the issue is why isn't it as prominent as compared to the West? We tried, to actually hire in a project, like when you write projects and all for doing research, there's no music therapist or music person as a profession who's on the panel, like you have scientist A, scientist B, or a junior research fellow or a senior research fellow. A music therapist or a music person doesn't have a post, unfortunately, as of now, in the people who are giving the grants, the government bodies like DST Satyam or ICMR or any other DBT or so forth. So it would be definitely something which has to be taken probably through this podcast or coming down to as people kind of evolve, because it is being used even in neurosurgery in the patients, who are actually healing better with music therapy. And some way or the other, we all are using music in our lives because, but evidence needs to be generated. And that can happen if we have the support of the scientists also. So that's what I'm saying.
And I feel like when it comes to music, also there isn't a like a certifying body. Maybe like people will say, like there's London School of Music, I'm certified. But then when you come to India, there isn't like a certification. Like the ustad doesn't give a certification to the like his disciples. It is mostly like, now you can start on your own. They give some sort of permission, but until then they have to learn from the guru. And I think, maybe that also is one of the issues. Like maybe, are they certified enough to be, a part of the research, or do they have any certain qualifications? Because I think that must be one of the issues.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. So that could be some place where we can actually improve the certification part, and that certification to be recognized as a London School of Music in India too. So that is something that we can work upon in the coming future. Because yes, the Veena actually, if you say, has got a way to kind of stimulate the Manipur chakra. So people who have digestive, that's basically the lumbar plexus. So if one knows how to play that or listens to that, and digestive issues and all help to heal. The bell, the gongs that we hear in a temple, that has a similar vibration to the anahata or the heart chakra. So cardiovascular issues, circulatory problems, if one listens to that frequency, that helps to improve. But these are again things that need to be, proved and certified. And that will only be possible if awareness, or again that knowledge that we have lost down the is again kind of revived and regenerated in India in the coming times.
Like speaking of, like how different frequencies, they affect different chakras. I'm sure, there's a rag called rag todi or tod, and maybe, it's like for neuro patients, I guess people, like it's the rhythm that, people start, like when we hear, a rhythm, our fingers, they start to move, right? Some people do it consciously, some people, start tapping on their leg. I'm sure, there are different ways this is going to help in rehabilitation of people, like let's say post like operation, or if they encounter an accident, or like those kinds of patient. And I'm sure like they might be like, do they use it nowadays, or like is it something people are thinking about?
So basically, it is being used nowadays, but how does the science work behind it? Basic music has a similar flow with the heartbeat. So why is it that the gong or the music which sounds similar to that churns the blood or something? So music which has a tempo of around 70 to 75 beats per minute, that will have a more calming effect because that is synchronizing with the normal heartbeat. So does it have a therapeutic effect? And another study that we had done, we found that the blood pressures also came down, heart rate also came down. So not only it has effect on the neural aspect, it also has an effect on the cardiovascular aspects. So the person is more, calmer. For example, if you listen to Carnatic music or ragas, as you mentioned, Anand Bhairavi or so, or even Raga Todi, as you mentioned, has a cooling and refreshing qualities, and it has positive effects on the mental well-being and helps to kind of elevate the mood. So these endorphins and enkephalins, they are kind of released from the spine. So a person has improves the mood, basically elevates physical discomfort, and pain is kind of banished. Cognitive functions of making important decisions or memory making improvement that happens, and it helps to non-verbal expression of thought, emotions, and feelings. So music is a wonderful tool that can help to kind of improve various health conditions, including pain relief and blood pressure. There are studies, but the studies are few, and individually, these ragas and all need to be actually scientifically proved, and evidence base has to be generated because it has a lot of scope of reducing stress, anxiety, and insomnia, which raga to hear when, that also needs to be kind of uh, listened to. Some of the ragas help you have a contemplative or kind of, reflective or deep relaxative or concentration effect. Some help to improve the mental clarity and all, and others reduce stress and anxiety. So even those people who have issues with the kind of speaking, and in which they kind of mumble or they fumble or they even stammer, singing has a wonderful effect because it affects how one could probably articulate the mouth, tongue, and voice control through the larynx, like a violin is used. So how the laryngeal muscles and all, the air as it passes through them, how it kind of be utilized to speak and sing, improve the pulmonary function test. That has also been seen that people who sing and all, or even who blow the shank, these are ways in which one can improve the lung function test. So music is a wonderful, wonderful way. It could be Shringar, it could be Shantvi, Rodra, Vairagya, Bhakti, any form of music that touches your heart. In fact, some people have also tried to research that if you are listening to rock music, what happens to that? And they've seen how the water crystals and all get affected, and it's not very conducive to the health. But then I was had this theory, since there are three types of people. There's people who are enlightened souls, which are called sattvic. There are people who are very active, called rajasic, and people who are indolent, lazy, and rakshik praviti, who are tamasic. Depending on what praviti that the person has, that kind of music appeals to that person. And if kind of make a person who is tamasic listen to Carnatic music, then his blood pressure will go up. But on the other hand, if you have a sattvic person to listen to rock music, his blood pressure will also go up. So I guess it depends also on the nature of the person and what it resonates, which chakra kind of resonates with that person. That is just a theory. This needs to be proved. But generally speaking, yes, music which is kind of less than the heart rate, that has a kind of slow kind of effect which produces a sense of uncertainty. Faster rhythms, they stimulate and revitalize the body. And music that are of the same rhythm, they will kind of have a calm effect and of the normal heart because it synchronizes with it.
Yeah. So, how about, like, we talk about like normal people, but then like there's healthcare professionals. So like how we always hear that a certain surgeon wants certain kind of music being played. Somebody wants this piano being played or something while they're doing performing their surgery or something. So I've always like heard about this quote. I don't know. This is this famous pianist and. Late into his 80s, like he was very frail, and his body was like he was having arthritis, and it was really hard for him to even get out of bed. But then every day he used to get out of bed, like it used to be very painful for him, but the moment he used to touch the piano, like all his pains used to go away, and he's used to like I mean, in when we are playing piano, we are moving and everything. But then as soon as he stops playing piano, the arthritis comes back, and like his body is again frail, and he's aching everywhere. So uh, I don't know if it's flow or what it is, uh, but as a healthcare professionals, like like are there certain types of music you like, or you suggest to your fellow healthcare professionals to use on a daily basis?
That's wonderful that you mentioned. In fact, I'll first talk about my personal experience and then about what you mentioned, this wonderful example of arthritis that was healing. We have this song that was sung called Oh God Beautiful. It's Guru Nanak's old song. Hey Hari Sundar it is. That in the forest thou art green, in the mountain thou art high, in the ocean thou art grave. That's for the outer world, and then to the serviceful thou art service, to the sorrowful thou art sympathy, to the yogi thou art bliss. This song was sung for more than 1 hour in USA, and many people they received healing of the mind, body, and soul, and they testified feeling bliss, and all bliss comes like no tongue can type the endorphins and caffeine start going. So that was a experience that I also play the harmonium. I play the harmonium in the meditation leading group that I have. And we have this book called Cosmic Chants, which are spiritualized chants like Oh God Beautiful. It produces a lot of bliss and it gives you a guidance and all the mind becomes clear and one knows one needs to do. Like wisdom kind of sets in, discriminated what is right, what is wrong. The examples that you've given, I can quote from some research that Alzheimer's disease patients also, they have activated a flow of stored memory that was otherwise inaccessible. They with Alzheimer's, which is a $1 billion industry in research nowadays in US, where their ability to remember and recognize kind of fades over time. But that passion for music, that somehow remains intact, as we had in the patient of arthritis, because that was his passion to play. How it jogs the memory and retrieves past experiences. Like you have this old song of, say, Raj Kapoor or something, they have listened in their childhood. So it'll just activate those reverberatory sides of the memory and of the passion they probably spent that love time with their loved ones and all in their childhood. And that will revive the memories and the brain chemicals like endorphins, enkephalins, which are these wonderful hormones that produce the bliss and all those experience will kind of trigger those. They're like painkillers. So, as you rightly said, anesthetists and doctors during surgery and the anesthesia that has been found to be reduced. Dentists and all, I mean, dental pain is God. I mean, if you touch the pulp, I mean, you can just imagine the pain. But they have said that they don't need a painkiller because once the music is kind of being played. In fact, our Mahatma Gandhi ji also, he used to just put his mind at the point between eyebrows and he didn't need even an anesthesia for the operation which was done on his appendix. So they had the power. The Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, he was able to, why was he called the Iron Man? He took, without anesthesia, he took the burning rod which was sterilized on his boil on his leg. So these people had these ways to kind of control the mind. We need art, dance, and music therapies to kind of increase our mood and improve our mind. Even children, you have these lovely movies that are coming, Tare Zameen Par and uh, which is Amir Khan's new movie, in which social handicaps and retarded children, they also improve a lot with dance therapy and music therapies. In fact, if I was to add on to this, there are these, as I was telling, the integral health clinic that we run. There are these 4 areas in the world which are called blue zone areas, 5 areas. And you won't believe the average age of the people who live in these blue zones. Why is it called blue zones? Is that the average age is around 100, 304. So the people living in these areas, what are they eating? That yukt ahar, how are they relaxing? What are they doing differently that they're living this long? And why is it that we cannot make our place a blue zone? So they found one common thing was that they, at around 5 o'clock in the evening, they get together, they play music, they dance together, they talk, they chit chat. They get together, that get to the social connectivity part. That is something which is common in all these uh, five blue zone areas in the world. One is in Japan, one is in California, and others I don't remember of now. But you can just Google, and you have this wonderful YouTube thing on blue zone areas. So listening to music is a time-honored method of relaxation, and it helps to alleviate anxiety. And music therapists recommend soothing classical music rather than the loud percussive tones that basically helps to associate an happy event, and it is being used by anesthesiologists, Alzheimer's patients, arthritis, and we are personally also using music as in harmoniums and cosmic chants also.
I remember one of my friends' dad. I'm not sure if I can quote this, but I spent some time with him, and I don't know. There's this DJ. I'm not sure if it's a DJ, but he plays like spiritual music. But it's like in the sort of DJ, and like after work and everything, he just puts that and he starts dancing, and I'm like, this guy's gone. But then like I guess it takes him to a place where he sort of like goes into some sort of trance or something, and maybe like all the worries and everything, or maybe he comes up with a solution of like how are we going to manage this or that. But I guess everyone is kind of finding their own way, whether it's
Yeah.
through binaurals, whether it's through
True,
meditation.
true.
But how has that conversation, as a as a physician yourself, changed, like with allopathy and all these therapies? Like, is it this or that? Is it this and that? And like, how do you communicate that to your patient? Because nowadays, in a day of like everything in the button age, which I call, you click a button, you get food, you click a button, you go from point A to point B, you click a button, you get all sorts of entertainment. So they're looking at some sort of like magic pill you're going to give them. So how do you communicate to the patient? Or like, are you thinking that I'm not going to recommend this to these kinds of patients who are like wanting fast cure? These are more open to this, so maybe I'll give them this music therapy for long term. So how has that conversation changed?
All right. So two, three things that crossed my mind as you were giving those wonderful examples. One was that Osho has a similar kind of dance therapy that you mentioned, which your friend kind of dances and all. Before they sit for meditation, they just dance out. I mean, they just relieve all their frustrations, their anger. They have this 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of just dance therapy. You can do any movement you want. You just stand up and you just let go. So that is one thing that really helps. Second, you mentioned was key, which is similar to what the Gita says, or as many number of people are there in the world, that many are the my paths. That's how it says to reach me, to reach that bliss. We all are looking for happiness in some way or the other, as you mentioned, through meditation, through music, or so on and so forth. And the third thing which you mentioned is what prescribe that you mentioned, what to give to the patient. Christ had said this, Jesus Christ, in the Bible, that the faith is as if a soil which is kind of fertile and the seed has to be placed. When he had done a lot of healings and all. And so he was also questioned, how is it that some people you are able to heal and some you're not able to heal? So you have the solid ground, the cemented ground, you cannot plant a tree there. But you have a soil which is tilled, fertilized, and all. You plant a seed, then it give you a wonderful tree and bear its fruit. In the same way, the faith of the patient has to be first seen. Is the patient open to allopathy, Ayurvedic, or homeopathy, or he's more inclined to allopathy, or he's open to both? So, once you know, and you, the patient himself will tell you, नहीं allopathy में side effects है, I do not want allopathy. On the other hand, they will say कि yes, they want to try Ayurveda. So it is the patient who will tell you, or you will have to coax the patient. See, there are actually 4 or 5 stages in which when a patient comes to you based on how you can help the person to decide. One is the pre-contempt phase. कि suppose he's say you're telling me how to exercise, you have to take this Ayurvedic medicine, probably because you're obese, or probably there's some kind of issue related to your mental health. And he says, "Bhar mein jaye, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me." That is a pre-contemplative phase. I mean, he's not even contemplating about it. But then you say that, say, suppose as a doctor, you have to say, okay, suppose you instill the feeling of fear. That is one motivating factor. Let's say what is your family history? Suppose you don't go directly. He says, yeah, my father and mother had diabetes, and my father died of a heart disease and so forth, hypertension, for example, and he was obese. So if he was obese, and you're also going to have a genetic tendency to put on weight, and you're not exercising. So couldn't it be possible that you would also develop the same lines? And then that fear comes in. He says, yeah, it is possible. So what should I do? So then becomes the contemplative phase. That he's actually contemplating what can I do to better myself. And then you take him to, the action phase. Ki you need to exercise about half an hour every day, 150 minutes a week. You need to sweat it out 20 to 25 minutes at least. And then he says, okay, I'll try it. So he comes in the action phase. Then he comes back to you, he says, I tried it for about a week, but I left it. And then you say you have to try it at least for 3 months. Then he goes into a maintenance phase. So depending on the faith of the patient, what he needs, and this kind of psychology that I told you about, pre-contemplative, contemplative, and then action and then maintenance, where one has to kind of facilitate the patient, not just prescribe a medicine and say, okay, okay, bye, thank you. You have to actually sit on his neck and kind of see that he takes that and kind of causes that lifestyle change. That is the basic difference between allopathy and now this Ayurvedic approach, or this where you actually spend about 15-20 minutes with each patient, not just kind of write a prescription and say, okay, bye, thank you, you can come back. Here, the follow up is very important also. So, that is the basic difference between the two.
Yeah, it must be a little rigorous because again, um, I don't know like how it is for you, but I feel like now I'm kind of responsible for the other person taking action and actually following through, because now if they don't follow through and then they come back and say, no, your Ayurveda is not working, your music therapy is not working. I mean, how many days did you try? I tried for like maybe one day, but then the other day I forgot. Then I tried the other day, and then actually I didn't do. So like all of these things are happening, right? So how do you kind of make sense for yourself and keep yourself calm? Because somewhere I mean, you are working in their betterment, but if they don't like actually follow your prescription, or what do you say, like the routine, they won't be able to see the changes. So how do you keep yourself like kind of, I don't know, is it like detached or unattached, or I don't know, but like they have this verse in Gita, right? You are entitled to put in the effort. You are not entitled to the
Exactly.
fruits of. So, like, is that something going on in your mind? So, how do you deal with that?
So that's a wonderful thing from the Gita only. I'll quote. It says, "The God is the healer. I just treat." So God, the healing is left to Him. You are just the means or the kind of channel to kind of allow that healing to come through. So this is one part that you must kind of say. You never say that I heal or you are the healer. So the healing force, probably if you are blessed, flows through you. That is one point. Second is we pray for our patients. We have this online system of prayers that we kind of enter the parents, the patients, and we pray for the mind, body, and soul. There's a specific technique that we do after our meditations when we get our life force up, the higher plexuses. We pray for the body, mind, and soul. There's a particular technique of Paramahansa Yogananda in which we rub our hands, we generate the heat for 15 to 20 seconds, and then we send out that healing energy, visualizing the person at the point between eyebrows for his body, and then we rotate our hands for his mind so that he can hear and send out that energy, chanting Om, sending that energy like a Reiki distant healing. And then we have for the soul in the same manner as we had for the body. When we rub our hands, generate the heat, we feel the ushanta or the vibration in our hands, and then we send out that vibration to the patient who we have actually met during the day. God who's actually brought that patient to you, and He is the one who's actually healing in whichever way if you don't believe in God, then it's actually the natural forces which the person should be in harmony with. Any disease we say is the transgression of the health laws which He has set. So if it's not by right eating, the person undoes it through right eating, exercise, and right thinking, and he becomes better. So it is through this way when you kind of pray for the person, you know that you've done your best and trying to give him the best him or her the best advice, and also that you are not the doer. Always in life, as you said, the fruits are not in your hands. You have given your best. Now the healing is up to the natural force and the patient's own motivation to do. So you do take responsibility, but the moment you pray for the patient, in a group, we have a group prayer also. It happens morning, evening, daily, almost every hour now also. So there's an online system of that. We add the patient's name on and or even your loved ones, and it's all whatever happens happens for the good. So many times, I just thinking about this. Some of our senior monks and all have mentioned this. There have been cases, in which some people have been bedridden real badly through a road traffic accident or an debilitating disease. And some of them have prayed for them to get well. That may not be the best thing for that person. And the soul is probably striving for release at that time. And some people have just prayed for that person as such, just the name. Not that that person becomes well, or just the name and online. So the difference between that, God knows that the soul probably needs a release, and if the person kind of recovers, he'll be paralyzed, for example, and will be a lifelong debilitating issue to him and the family members also. And the best thing in that condition, I mean, God willing, is that the soul finds release and given another chance in another body, probably sometime later. So there's another dimension that opens up, that if you think that you are the doer and you have a responsibility, you can save the patient. Probably that may not be the best for that soul. And the best would be probably that the soul finds a release in some form or the other and is actually working towards that. So you never know. So it's there. See, we are not the most intelligent beings who have walked this place over. There are people who are much more intelligent than us. And there are times when one should leave the results in their hands and they know best.
True, true. You just cut for a bit, but then like I got like the major part you were mentioning that the distant healing Reiki side, and then you mentioned that maybe it's not. We never know like what is best for people because like you mentioned, a person getting into an accident, and now we pray that he stays with us, but then like all he is on the bed, and he can't move, he can't speak, he or she can't speak. So. Uh, with that I want to move into maybe like how do you define success like for yourself and as a doctor how do we define success with a lot of my friends they're probably becoming doctors I think this year next year although I didn't go into that field although I'm in healthcare but not like in MBBS or that thing. So how do you define success for yourself? Because somewhere we had this question that what is a good doctor? A good doctor is where there's a lot of patients coming in, or a good doctor is where there are no patients coming in because the entire society is healthy. So like do you want the society to be unhealthy that like patients come to you, or is it like I mean this was a good question because like sometimes like there's a disease and like a lot of people are coming to you and they're getting healed. So that's is that a good doctor or what? Like, so how do you think about success as a doctor? And I mean about this riddle, like have you heard about this thing?
Yeah, yeah, I got your point. That's a good one. Yeah, my internet had actually got unstable in between. That's why I got cut off. So, coming back to the question, what is success? So success, you could say a person is materially successful because if he has a car, he has, a big house, bungalows, and so forth. So a lot of wealth and all. These are vulgar accumulations, and unless the person is happy, I would say suggest that the person should be happy, and that is the way one meets success, and that his needs are fulfilled, not his wants, but the needs are fulfilled. That is how success for that person would. As compared to if the person is happy and he can help somebody out in some form or the other beyond it, that means his happiness will double then. Because they say your spiritual cup of happiness is fulfilled when you're be able to of service to another person. Be it father, mother, or even society, you're being trained, whether not an MBBS, but in a similar allied medical profession, which you can be of some help, in which you can alleviate the suffering from or the pain from somebody. There's a wonderful shloka which basically means that I do not want mukti. I just want that the suffering of my fellow human being be relieved. And that would be the success that we are aiming for. what you mentioned was a very tricky question about patience to have or not to have. Now this is my world. You cannot like in this podcast also there are two of us and the people will be listening to it. So there, also in the guru disciple relation, there's a guru and disciple. They both need each other. And similarly, there's a doctor and there's a patient. One cannot do any way from the other. They say prevention is the best cure. I disagree with that. Prevention is the only cure, I believe. And if you have prevention, in fact, in the olden days, the Chinese doctors were paid to keep the, people healthy. And they were asked to pay when they became diseased. But I guess that system, kind of because of the curse of earth or death, disease, and old age, that will always sometime or the other happen. Sharir, is that got the dharma to kind of become diseased or old age or so forth. So that system kind of faded away. But I do believe that prevention has a big role to play. And in fact, especially in India, where we have a population of so many billions, that prevention with the DGHS who had come to AIIMS, Bhopal had mentioned this, because we cannot, though we are selling through Amrit and through government agencies medicines at a very subsidized rate for our Indian poor patients and all, we still it is a big kind of to the exchequer. It's a big burden to the finance. So prevention has a big role to play, and India should be able to utilize our ancient yogic rishis of yoga, of Ayurveda, of herbs, that ancient treasure that we have of and homeopathy, which is coming up, and of siddhas, the Siddhic branch that of the Talium and that was there from South India of Agastya Rishi and all that needs to be tapped again. And from the allopathic medication has to be again rekindled. The allopathy, unfortunately, we actually do this evidence-based medicines. They say it's a high karma which is actually coming up. The reason being is that all these medicines that are used, we do it on basis of animal experimentation. A lot of animals like rats and as you mentioned, cockroaches and all, they're actually killed. These experiments are done on the animals first. So a lot of karma burden also does come upon these, and the side effects and all are also there. So, but yes, you should not say no to the medications, because some people believe that no, they will not take any medications at all. That is also a wrong way. Like I know people who do not wear spectacles. I mean, there have been, ways in which things have actually science has progressed, and you should kind of take the advantage of coaxing that life force and utilizing the newer technologies. And I would say ki, it would be a mixed balance. I mean, have prevention also, and the serious patients who need the medications, yeah, should utilize medicines and all. So it should be a balance of both. Uh, healthy patients and also patients who are not healthy.
Perfect, perfect. So, as we are approaching time, there are three questions, maybe, which I call them the perspective questions. So, this just, bring a lot more perspective so that people can go off with a good message in the end. So, maybe if you could go back 10 years in time, or maybe if you had the chance to speak to the younger Varun, what would you say to the younger Varun? Like, would you, like, what would your conversation, or like maybe if you were to give advice, and let's say in some sort of multiverse there's like lots of Varuns out there, what advice you would be giving to them?
Oh man, I never thought of this. I was thinking the other day, if I was to live my life again, would I kind of make some different choices, or kind of uh regret, or if I have relive some moments again. So or would I kind of the mistakes that I made, would I kind of redo them again, or kind of do differently? There comes a thought which says, you make the mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes again, and make different ones. So I guess the path would have been different, but I guess the destiny would be still the same. And to the various Varuns in the various multiverses which are probably existing, I mean, I would say probably last 20-25 years, things are going ups and downs are there, but that even-mindedness is important in life. And irrespective of whether they've been honors or probably some dishonors, or kind of, as it says in the Gita, insult or kind of um praise, The even-mindedness is important. And I think balanced life is also equally important. As I remember Einstein, signing off to a person who had kind of given a gift to a courier boy. And he said, it is not important to excel, even if you've not excelled, like even if your colleagues are doing MBBS and you're not. I mean, it's important to be having that even mind. I mean, it's fine if you're still in the same profession, and as long as you're happy, that is what matters. And as long as you can actually make the other person happy, that is what matters. So the message would be just live your life. You live only once, live it to the fullest, and live a balanced life. That is more important. Be even-minded somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, when we are even mind, when we are in an even mind, I feel like, when we are neutral, I would say, like the way, I guess, Dr. Hawkins, he describes in his, like the energy thing, there's like neutral, and then, your energy enlightenment, वहाँ चले जाते हैं. Although we are not over there, I mean, at least I'm not over there. So that is like the one phase, where after that, there's only positivity, so like whether sometimes we take things to the heart, and like the other day in one of the WhatsApp group, it's like about the alternative healings and everything. So somebody shared, like some of the students, they they ended their life because they couldn't get into MBBS or something like that, and it was really shocking to see, like uh, that is there on one hand, and then we see, atyachar, and on doctors, and then there's like a recent strike that is happening in Telangana and everything. So like it's all, in chaos, and when we sort of have that even mind, we feel like ye bhi jayega, something is going to come, and then something is going to take its place. So like we are about the end of the podcast, and maybe if you have a closing message for people, like something they can practice on a daily, or something that you do on a daily basis, like some habits, or like you read something, or like some practices they can do, so that they can incorporate some of the like even mindedness, or some good spiritual vibes or something like that into their life.
This is a wonderful question. I mean, the Gita kind of says ki, in the first shloka, what is it that my good forces or bad forces, the Kauravas or Pandavas, do on the battlefield of life? That is what Dhritarashtra asks. That is the question that we all should kind of ask ourselves at the beginning or the end of the day. So in big organizations, they have a plan to act cycle. You plan your day and you carry out your action. So, morning, the moment you get up after your ablutions, one of the things that you can do is just sit and meditate. Just close your eyes, listen to the music or the frequency. You kind of do some slow, deep breathing for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's inhale, hold, and exhale, but it has to be a deep, slow inhalation for about 10 seconds, holding and exhalation. You can do it for about 108 times. It takes around 20 minutes to complete all 108. You can start counting on your fingers. This is 12, and then you can go on further till 108. So, it's very helpful to kind of get your entire day analyzed. And before you go back to bed, just spend about 5 to 10 minutes doing the same thing. You'll be in gratitude and you'll be carrying out probably the next day also at a jump start. So God first and other things will be added unto you. So that is the what the proverb says. And believe me, everything gets added unto you. Your spine will become like a magnet if you do this deep, slow deep breathing, and you kind of attract God's love, peace, and joy. Somehow we kind of met up also on this wonderful love, peace, and joy. The other thing was after this, you could read some book like this book called Autobiography of Yogi is there. It's quite good. Any book of any concentration, like you mentioned about Gita, or even the Quran, or you can also read scientific healing affirmations or some kind of man's eternal quest or the lessons or some book which will kind of calm the mind for about half an hour. If not half an hour, 20 minutes. You can start with the paragraph. They say habit kind of takes about 2 minutes to start. You can start from making your bed, keeping your hostel room clean, but it'll take about 5 to 8 years for it to become a habit. You can start making that habit in 2 minutes, but for it to ingrain as neural proteins in your brain, it'll take 5 to 8 years. Be it of leaving of alcohol, leaving cigarette smoking, you make that vow right now, takes 2 minutes, but to kind of sustain it to 8 years. So any habit, be it of meditation or even kind of good books, uh, that is this initially say 20 minutes of slowly breathing and what 20 to 25 minutes to half an hour of reading. Hit the gym or something. Kind of run. They say obesity runs in my family. No, no, no. Nobody runs in your family. That's where there is obesity. So it has you have to kind of keep the body fit, and you don't have to be Milind Soman, the Iron Man of India, to run from Delhi to Mumbai. Just half an hour is fine. You need to sweat it out. You could try non-impact exercises like cycling or swimming. Okay, depending on the weather conditions, if it's kind of raining and all swimming, no. But if your knees are fine, then impact exercises, treadmill, and joining a gym is helpful because the other people are also doing it. Because so you see them, they are doing it, so I mean, you cannot kind of quit, you know. So what will they say about me? So that factor of the environment plays on your willpower. And once in a while, you can fast, miss a meal once in a while, or miss eat less. That's important. You should eat the food should not eat you. You should use your phones, the phones should not use you. Similarly, digital technology. After you complete your day, whatever duty you're doing, if you're students, you're kind of studying, if you're serving in an office or you're a housewife, when you wind up the day, again sit for around 10 to 20 minutes at least. Do the slow deep breathing, analyze how the day back. Thank God, gratitude is a big thing. Nowadays, in this world of abundance and prosperity, gratitude is something that we all are lacking. In those blue zone areas, gratitude is a big thing. So thank you. Thank you so much. This is a gratitude I show you that you've given me this honor to share my message and my life partly with you. God bless you and God bless all the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking taking this invitation. And I mean, although I thought maybe I tried reaching out to so many people, but then I was like, okay, fine, at least somebody's agreed to the podcast, so that was a good thing. And I hope people who listening and watching, you have enjoyed the podcast. So let us know, give us some feedback how you felt, and you can always reach out to Dr. Varun. I'll also put in all his like research articles, so you can maybe who is interested in those nitty gritties, they can go through it. And yeah, you can, if you are in Bhopal, do meet him, I guess. Yeah, you can have some conversations. And yeah, I guess that's it for this podcast. I hope you all know what to do. Stay blessed, keep taking action. We will catch you guys in the, I guess, the next podcast, maybe, if we do have one. So yeah, I guess that's it. Stay blessed.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay blessed and God bless you all.